Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to solve a manufacturing project in only 3 days. You guys are probably thinking, yeah, right. There's no way that anybody can solve a difficult manufacturing problem in only 3 days. But I'm here to tell you it's very possible. Actually, you can solve almost all projects in only 3 days. In fact, in my experience, up to 90% of all manufacturing problems can be solved, meaning finding the main root cause in only 3 days. This is huge! One time I showed up at a company to work this very complicated project, and the company is used to a more traditional way to solve problems, and the engineer gave me a stack of papers this thick. It would take me 3 days just to look through all these papers. So I politely took the stack of papers and I hid them at the desk and I didn't even look at them. So what I did is I went to the line and I took data for about an hour and a half. With that hour and a half of data, I was able to find the main root cause by the end of the day. The company paid the engineer 6 whole months, and all that engineer did was gather paperwork this thick, and all that paperwork could have been thrown away and the project solved in just 1 day. You just have to be willing to get your hands dirty and go out and ask the right questions. Another time, an MIT grad worked a project for 3 whole weeks and still had no root cause identified. The manager waited until the engineer left for a long weekend, gave me the project, and I was able to solve it in under 2 days, and so we could move on. I just want to share these stories with you so you don't make the same mistakes that these other companies do. All you need to solve a project in just 3 days is: Number 1, you need to use a little logic. Number 2, you have to get off your chair. You can't solve a project sitting in your chair or sitting in a meeting. Number 3, gather data. Most people do not gather data. Maybe they think that they're too busy to gather data, or maybe they're too important or below them, but they don't go out and gather the data needed to solve the project. Any engineer that thinks they're too important to gather data, I would fire them or move them on. They are not ever going to be good problem solvers. Another thing, problem solvers should never give opinion. They should go out and gather all the data they need and speak only what the data says. Nobody can argue the data, which leads to a good problem solver never makes decisions with emotions. For example, a bad problem solver would say something like, I think the main root cause lives in this part, and then they start blaming a supplier. They don't have proof that this part has the main root cause, but they just want this part to be the problem. This is not good problem solving. We always want to solve projects with zero emotion. The good news is that there is one thing problem solvers can get emotional about. You are allowed to get excited about one thing. Do you want to know what it is? Hold it. Hold it. Contrast! Contrast is the problem solver's best friend. You should always be comparing good parts to bad parts and where's the part failing versus where the part never fails. Anytime you find contrast, you can have a contrast party, you can get excited because you know that you've made huge progress in identifying the main root cause. Bad emotion is when a problem solver says, I think that this part has the main root cause, but they have no proof. Good emotion is when I replace this part and the noise goes away. Excellent. Here's another pointer for you. If you have an assembly that has multiple components, you need to find the specific component causing the problem. Often we need to swap components to find the component causing the problem. So, for example, let's say this vehicle has a wind noise and this one does not. So you drive this vehicle and you listen for the noise. You drive this one and there's no noise. Then you swap components. And then you re-drive the vehicles. And this vehicle still has the noise and this vehicle is quiet. So you swap the next component. You drive it again and now this vehicle is quiet and this vehicle has noise. So you know the root cause lives in this component. Another useful tool is a diagram to show exactly where the defect is occurring and exactly where the defect has never occurred. So this is an example of a gasket, and I'm going to mark exactly where the leaks occur. So let's say we have 3 leaks here and 1 leak here. And but this diagram is awesome because it shows that there's some areas that have never had a leak. Remember when I told you about contrast? This is an excellent diagram to show the contrast. Here are the leaks, And here there's never been a leak. Again, most engineers only look at where the defects are and they don't look at the parts or the locations that the defect has never occurred. Now you guys are extra smart because you know how valuable it is to look at contrast. A diagram like this works for many types of problems. Paint defects, scratches, noise, water leaks, dirt specks, flash locations, and print locations on plastics, bubbles and tears in composites, nicks in stamping, rust in gears, the list goes on and on. The last thing to mention is reproducing the event. If parts are leaking, you need to make them leak again. If parts are breaking, we need to grab new parts, break them again, and those broken parts need to look exactly like the parts that break in the field. Normally, if you can reproduce the event, you can solve the problem, which means you can find the main root cause in 3 days easily. And this is the main reason I'm online doing these videos. Using lightning problem solving methods, you normally can solve 90% of all your problems in just 3 days. If any of you still need help after watching these videos, I offer a certification course for problem solvers to learn lightning problem solving methods. Or if you just have a problem here or there, I do consulting also. Many companies will find that they don't need a full-time problem solver. They just need to hire someone like me a few days every other month and move on. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos like root cause versus solution and why a project might take longer than 3 days. If you need help, send me an email. And be sure to leave a comment below on your pointers of how to solve a project lightning fast. Click like, subscribe to my channel, and have a great day.